while he was transferred from Newcastle to Manchester United, his agent invited him to come and stay over his house because he still couldn't find a place to stay in Manchester. And eventually he stayed there for 2 nights. The wife cooked for him, as the agent's wife cooked for him, etc. etc. He found his place. Then 3 years later, one day when he actually bothered to open his accounts and check, to his horror, he found out that his salary, one of the deduction, was his 2-night stay in the agent room and the food that he had. And he was charged a 5-star hotel rate. So that's an example of how, to me, you need lawyers to be around. Yes, Sasha? We're about to come to an end, so perfect. Finally get a lawyer to come and ask.
The guy said that 0 minute.
Oh, 0 minute, okay. Yes, Sasha?
Just a quick question to Lazarus. It's actually more confined to FEM.
Sasha is a lawyer.
Yeah. Sasha is if there are issues pertaining to a player and a state club, and you had appealed the matter to FEM, and the FEM had made a ruling that the state is accountable, if the state doesn't follow what FEM has asked them to do, is there any form of execution of the FEM ruling?
Good question.
Yes.
And also my other question is, do you want to answer first?
Yeah, can I take that question first in case I forget it? Second question. Okay, we have mechanisms to deal with this. Because what happens is, usually we give grants or prize monies to state FAs. So what we do is we actually withhold X amount of percentage, for example. So in the event if the state or club does not pay the amount due to the player, for example, we usually would deduct from the grant. That's one way to deal with this. In extreme cases, we can also ban the state or club from playing for the new season. Now we've just amended our code. This comes actually under the discipline code, where there's a provision for failure to respect decisions, and there are various sanctions. Yeah, there are various sanctions which are provided under the code, which allows the committee, that respective committee, to take sanction against a state or a club that does not comply with that decision.
The sanction is in FEM website, the new one?
The code comes into force next year, January. So it's likely that we find that next year in our website.
Akan datang. Sabar.
Akan datang.
Thank you very much. My second question is, you mentioned just now that the contract that the clubs have, that the players sign, is actually drafted by FEM. And usually the clubs would take on that draft and they could add on and on. So is it frowned upon, I'm using the word frowned upon here, by the state or FEM if the player seeks legal advice outside to peruse that contract?
Would they object?
Obviously not. Obviously not. In fact, we have the Players Football Association of Malaysia present here. And we are now working closely with them in actually signing an memorandum of understanding, MOU, with them, where we are looking at all these aspects. What we want is to have a fair balance of rights, which of course the state FA and obviously the players.
Sasha is a human rights lawyer, so I know what you're saying.
And I'm also taking up some cases with players and also another industry, the entertainment industry. What I've discovered is that with the entertainers and also athletes,
very balanced.
athletes, that they are not aware of their rights and what are the choices they have, and it's often the case of like Ben says now, they're just signing things that they don't know what they're signing and things like that. So one thing I would like to applaud RWY for this awareness of sports law, and I think we should all, especially lawyers and also the media, to promote this, that they should and they must seek legal advice.
But we must be careful, Sasha. They want kita ni nak, creating our rice bowl, susah. But that's why I say when Yip and I, yes, Paul, yes. I saw, put your hands up, yeah. Paul comes from an industry where having lawyers for sports is natural. So I wish I was working in Australia.
practice area that keeps on giving.
Why don't you just hold the mic easier?
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. All yours.
The problem of athletes not fully understanding or appreciating contracts to which they're bound is a major problem internationally, not just in Malaysia. And it's born out of an inequality of bargaining power, often between the sports organisation and the athlete concerned. To use an example, if one was to ever read an Olympic contract, be it between the Olympic Council of Malaysia, the Australian Olympic Committee, or any national Olympic committee and their athlete, and one looks particularly at the conduct clauses, in particular the social media clauses, which place a restriction on what athletes
no Twitter,
put on social media when they're representing their country. These are considered by any reasonable community standards to be relatively onerous provisions. But consider this: what if the athlete sought to sit down and try and negotiate various clauses in that contract with the counterparty, namely being the National Olympic Committee or the sports organisation? One could imagine that you'd be met with a reasonably silent and frosty reception. And generally, sports contracts are offered to athletes on a take-it-or-leave-it basis. So this is the deal, this is what you sign up for. If you have problems with any of these clauses, well, bad luck. I was wondering, often with some of the more onerous provisions relating to perhaps anti-doping or integrity or conduct, and these applications have failed certainly in Australia, as to whether or not those clauses could, in the right case and on proper application, be severed from the agreement on the basis that they're unconscionable inequity, given the stark difference in quality of bargaining power between the parties, and or alternatively, the extent to which a party didn't fully appreciate the nature of the burden they were undertaking to be relieved from that aspect of their bargain. They challenged it subsequently. Do you have any thoughts on how that might operate in Malaysia, and whether you see any potential for that type of challenge to sporting contracts, Richard?
You know, Paul, in my limited 3-4 years when we started doing sports law, in fact, most of the time, that's what happens. The contract's extended for the athletes. You know, it's really take it or leave it. And of course, when we act for the association, all the sponsors, the association and sponsor always wants to add in a morality clause. And occasionally, if we act for the athlete, we will always say no. But I can say most of the time in Malaysia, there are some clauses which deals with morality. And it's very difficult, Paul, to try and get it out, especially in the standard clauses. I concede. And maybe because we as lawyers haven't really tried hard enough. But my hope that one day, you know, all athletes will be able to have a fair contract. And at the same time, all associations will be able to get the best out of the athletes without totally exploiting them. Win-win. It'll take some time, but we're getting there. But to answer your question, whether we can take it out at the moment, I don't think so. In Malaysia, it's stuck there. Of course, if the athletes is like, for example, our squash darling Nicole David, one of the best in the world, if not the best, I think anything she asks for, she will get. So it's a bit different when the athlete has that kind of power. Or our current #1 badminton player, Lee Chong Wei, he gets almost anything that he wants. But because he's that good, his team is that strong. So he does, that is really purely a bargaining power. Sorry? It is. Well, anyway, it's been a fantastic day. We've been here since, some of us have been here since 7 a.m. I think, Lazarus, anything else you want to say? Ben?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I will pass the mic back to my MC, and I think he will have a closing ceremony before we call it a day. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, it seems like the conversation still, everybody still wants the conversation to keep on going, and we do hope that it will continue over the networking tea, which will happen downstairs shortly. But before we go on to that, and for you to fill your tummies once again, can I just invite Mr. Richard Wee to present the token of appreciation to both Mr. Lazarus and Mr. Ben Ibrahim. Mr. Lazarus. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, every beginning has an ending, and unfortunately, it's time to now call the conference to an end. The slides from the fellow speakers will be emailed to you over the course of next week once we obtain their permission. And at this point, please allow me to invite the other partner of RWY, Mr. Ibrahim, to the stage to close the conference. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Ms. MC. Okay, I know all of you are eager to get out of here. It's been a long day, it's been a tiring day. I'll keep this as short and sweet as possible. First of all, just 2 matters of housekeeping. During the lunchtime, I think survey forms were passed to all the delegates to fill in, and I do hope that you all can assist us to fill in and just drop it off at the basket there on the way out. Your feedback and your comments are crucial for us because we hope next year to present a bigger and better sports conference. We hope to get it bigger, maybe more than one day. Not too tiring? Okay. Secondly, as Leslie has mentioned, we have a little networking session. I think all of you are very excited. It's Malaysia, we need food. And I'll keep this as short as sweet as possible so that we can all go down for that little session. Light refreshments are being served, so please do join us. Some of our speakers will be there, so if you have any questions for them you did not have the opportunity to address this afternoon, please speak to them personally. I think, just to recap, it's been a fantastic day today, starting from Chris's fantastic presentation on the financial fair play to that amazing session we had on dispute resolution with Justice Ma, Mr. Paul Hayes, Encik Isai Aziz Ibrahim. Our mixed doubles, very informative with the always candid Mr. Fong Cheng Leong and the lovely and talented Miss Sidi Sharon. And that I hope you all like that innovative talk show style session we just had with Richard, Ben and Lazarus. It's innovative, I hope, and I hope it caught all of your attention. Just to close this year's sports conference, I would just like to touch on a very personal issue on why I feel that sports law is important for us. To me, sports law has always, or sports in itself, in order to determine why sports law is important, I think it's always important to determine why sports is important, is why we feel passionate about sports. For me, the view has always been that sports is something which all of us enjoy, all of us want to participate in, to be participatory or a part of, because it always aspires us to be the best that we can be. It's no coincidence that the motto for the Olympics is always faster, as mentioned by Richard earlier, faster, higher, stronger. Sports always compels us to be the best that we can be. And it also imposes on us, as also mentioned by Richard earlier, that there must always be a sense of fair play. And this is the reason why fair play is required, is because in order for us to have a level playing field to find out who is the best, who is better, can we get better, there must always be an even playing field to ensure that. And that is where I believe sports law comes in. Sports law must be present, and it must be available to create that level playing field. Right? Like mentioned in our last talk show, player contracts. Why is it important for there to be equality in player contracts? The reason is very simple, so that if there's equality, our players or our athletes do not have to worry about where my next paycheck is going to come from. Will I have dinner tomorrow? Do I have a place to stay tomorrow? The basis of sports law will always be to ensure that the athletes or our sports people can go out there and do what they do best. They can go out there to perform, they can go out there to achieve, and they can go out there to be the best that they can be, people we can be proud of. And that to me, ladies and gentlemen, although it may sound a bit naive, is why I feel that sports law is important, the ideal of sports law. That's all the closing parting words I have to say. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. Before we leave, I just have a few final word of thanks to express. First of all, can I have a big round of applause for all our wonderful speakers today? I think they did a fantastic job. Next, also our sponsors, IGM and LexisNexis, thank you so much. Without whom, without your help, this conference would never have existed. To the organizing committee from Richard B and Yip, to our volunteers from ATC and everyone else who has helped with this Sports Law Conference. If you didn't know, I actually drafted my wife to assist with the reception this morning. I think I'll be paying that back for quite a while, but thank you as well. And of course, to all of you delegates who attended, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you being here. One final special mention I need to make to two people who basically, without them, this sports conference would never have happened. These two people had the dream to hold this sports conference. With their hard work, they had the drive to make this sports conference happen. And with this vision, today, it's become a reality. Can I just very quickly invite Mr. Richard B and our MC, Ms. Leslie Lim, to the stage. Just a small token of appreciation for both of you. You guys made this Sports Law Conference happen. So.
Thank you very much.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to call this conference to a close. Thank you so much. Have a safe journey home. We hope to see you next year as well. Thank you very much. Again, do join us for our networking session downstairs. It's on the lower ground floor.